be able to accept this award and to talk to you about what we're doing at KYTHERA. Now, just some background. First, this is going to be a major change of direction compared to the previous presentations in terms of theme. But I'm a biochemist by training. I've been doing drug discovery for about 15 years. I have a type 2 diabetes drug on the market and have founded 2 previous healthcare companies prior to founding KYTHERA. One focusing on diabetes, the other one antibiotics. Now, you think with that context that what I'm about to tell you is going to be a strange story. And I'll begin this story by asking you a question. What do these 2 images have in relation to one another? Well, the image on the left is the periodic table. It describes the behavior of matter in our universe chemically. And the image on the right is an image of a typically beautiful female human face. What we do at KYTHERA is we use our understanding of the image on the left to actually enable the image on the right. What we do is we use the tools of biotechnology to discover FDA-regulated drugs that we use to alter human appearance. And this is not an activity that a lot of companies do, only a few are in this space. So we rounded up some of my friends that I've been doing drug discovery with for a decade to actually try to build a new company in a space that people had not entered using conventional tools of biotechnology that have transformed healthcare over the last 20 years. Now, you may ask, how, after working on diabetes and antibiotic drug discovery, did I wind up working on drugs to alter human appearance? Well, it was kind of a lark. So I was invited to this dermatology meeting, and I wasn't interested in going, but I went. And I was looking around in various symposia, and I walked into a symposia called The Molecular Biology of the Aging Face. And I walked in, and someone put this slide up. And that slide is, if you work in cancer or inflammation, is a pretty well-known slide. It's a signaling pathway that's involved in both of those disease states. And as it turns out, when you step out in the sun, a whole bunch of enzymes get activated that ultimately result in the degradation of collagen and the appearance of wrinkles. And I was staring at the slide and I was thinking, I know 2 drugs that hit that pathway. And I was wondering if we could actually develop molecules like this for new indications. And what that would mean is that instead of using airbrushing to go from the image on the left to the image on the right, you could actually use a small molecule. And that's been the central intellectual premise behind KYTHERA. And we've done some pretty amazing things over the last 5.5 years since we founded the company with this premise. And I'll talk to you about 2 of them. The first drug I'm going to talk about is called ATX-101. It's our lead product. And what it does is it destroys fat wherever you inject it. It is a small molecule detergent that binds to membranes and causes them to dissolve and releases fat, and then your immune system cleans up the fat after. This is a woman in one of our phase 2 studies. She's in her mid-30s, ordinary body weight. Here she is before treatment with our drug. Here she is after. Now watch this again. Before, after. It's a profound change in the silhouette of the human face. Look at this man in his late 20s. Higher body weight than the previous patient, also from our phase 2 study. Here he is before, here he is after. I mean, this is a fundamental change in this person's appearance. Now, what we find is that not only does this drug have a profound effect on the shape of the human face, but it influences people's self-perceptions and perceptions of that person by others. It's delivered nearly painlessly by your dermatologist, and it will be on the market in 2014. And this, we project, will have worldwide sales in excess of $1 billion. We've also been working on another program, which we call Rapunzelase. So we cloned an enzyme from liver that actually is an active inactivator of androgens. And what this molecule has the hope of doing is actually being able to reverse and permanently correct both male and female pattern baldness, which current therapies only have marginal impact on. This company has been lean, mean, and very entrepreneurial. We've raised a relatively small amount of money to get this far into clinical development. We've raised about $71 million over 5.5 years. We're in phase 3 trials in 10 countries. We have only 34 people that actually operate our global supply chain of clinical material. And we've done clinical studies on 4 different products in 10 different countries. Now, it's really the people that make the company. And Keith Leonard, who was my co-founder on this company, formerly ran all operations for Amgen Europe, the biggest biotech company in the world. And he is actually the best CEO I've ever worked with in my life. Also, Patty Walker, our chief medical officer, she has the longest track record of getting drugs approved in the aesthetic space, basically Botox, Juvederm, as well as single-handedly orchestrating the reapproval of silicone breast implants. Now, one may take a step back from that and ask about her contribution to human society, which you can either view as equivalent to that of Jonas Salk, who got rid of polio, or Hugh Hefner, who got rid of low-quality porn. But I'm just going to leave that alone. The rest of these individuals are people from past research experience in my life. Serge Lichtensteiner, a former colleague of mine, ran research at Cytokinetics, and a whole bunch of others came out of Amgen. So this is really a bunch of big biotech people who worked on grievous illness, working in a new area that had been underexploited in biotech previously. We've been able to work on a lot of new areas in terms of biology related to aesthetics because we leverage academic institutions. We sponsor research at numerous labs around the country working with experts rather than building that capability in-house. So Rapunzelase we've been doing at UCLA. ATX-101 we also developed in collaboration with UCLA. Now, looking from 40,000 feet, we are going to be entering the market of aesthetics that is currently the purview of Botox, Juvederm, and Restylane. So you can imagine that this is very commercially with the grain. You're in the chair at the dermatologist, you're getting your Botox, you're getting your filler. The dermatologist looks at you and says, hey, I can take care of that chin. You know, and we think that that's going to be something that is going to dramatically grow that market and allow the dermatologist to cross-sell. It's very commercially sensible. We've taken leaders from biotech drug discovery who worked in cancer, and diabetes and inflammation, and now deployed them on aesthetics. We actually just started our phase 3 trials in Europe, and we just last year signed a $400 million deal with Bayer, who's going to be developing the drug outside of North America in partnership with us. We have powerful intellectual property covering this drug. And we have blue chip investors, including Versant Ventures, Arch Ventures, and Prospect Ventures. What we think is important in terms of where we sit commercially is reflected in this slide. What you see on the right is grievous illness, and what you see on the left is aesthetics. Now, as you go towards the right, this becomes the subject of reimbursement and the complexities of that commercial landscape. What we think is interesting is on the far left where we are, this is self-pay. This is something that is not subject to the vagaries of reimbursement and is really simply subject to human need for self-improvement. And we think that this actually allows a diversification of some of the risks associated with changes in healthcare that we're going to be seeing with changes by the recent administration. So this has been a very exciting company for me to work in, despite the fact that I came from a background working on grievous illness to work on something less so. And I think in closing, I'd like to say that oftentimes we think of an oncology drug that gives 3 months of survival at the end of someone's life as the highest form of what you can give back to a human life. But I would challenge you to think, when you develop drugs like this, that take someone who hasn't felt attractive or sexy to their partner in a decade and can restore that type of self-worth, suddenly the utility of this sort of thing becomes clear. And it really does go far beyond narcissism. Thank you very much, and thanks very much for the award.